let's get to our special guest today. He is a friend that I have known since the 90s. I have known this man. He now comes with the biggest beard I have ever seen. Malcolm Ingram
It's a
is
big
here.
beard, right?
Dude, when did you grow this beard?
Well, I'm there. I don't know. Like, I
Wow,
like it.
dude.
No, I don't know. I'm just growing it out.
It looks good, dude. You wear it well.
Thank you, sir. I feel like a third wheel. Like all of a sudden, the director called in. I'm like, oh, like I wish I was Luke. Like,
well, no, but Luke, I didn't know Luke would be watching the show.
I know. God, I mean, I don't know.
Well, just to
go see Luke's film. It sounds great.
Relax I'm from the future. And Relax I'm from the Future is one of those movies that to me, like, it's like the kind of small indie movie that the cleverness and the production value in my head, it's all from the writing. And there are some very clever comedic special effects.
Is it Miracle Mile-esque?
No, very different from that film, but it's very hopeful and optimistic. And that I didn't expect based on how the movie started. I didn't expect it. But Malcolm, let's talk about you. You are the director. Yes, the director of several documentaries that are amazing. Small Town Gay Bar, which is to me just a brilliant. I saw it at Sundance back in I think 2006.
You were very kind to that movie. Thank you. Yeah,
that movie is a brilliant, and I love that. Like, this is when I didn't know that you were gay, and you like
gay as fuck. Not only gay as fuck.
But not just that. Here's what I love about. Okay, so I didn't know you were gay, right? I knew you for years, and I remember going to some bars and maybe getting into some trouble, hanging out with you sometimes.
Sure,
you get a little angry, and it was like the weight of the world melted off when you just said, dude, I'm fucking gay. I love cock. I mean, I think that's what you said to me.
I mean, yeah. Dick mellowed me out. What are you going to do?
but you also said, and what I love with your film is you are gay, but the flamboyant sort of cliche or stereotypical version of what some people have in their head of who a gay person is, that's not who you are. You're a different, you are Malcolm. You're just my friend Malcolm. I don't think of you as my gay. I think of you as my friend Malcolm, not my gay friend. I mean, that's sort of stupid. And we met in a really fun way. Maybe we'll get to it. But I don't know if you want to talk about Small Town Gay Bar.
I'll talk about anything you want.
Yeah.
I'm here for you. I'm here of service. Again, I just feel bad I'm not Luke.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
I am here of service.
But yeah, I mean, you've made these really insightful documentaries that sort of break stereotypes and cliches about the gay community, that they're not all a certain type. And I remember you telling me, especially when we're talking about Small Town Gay Bar, you're like, I just like going to, like, it's like you like going to like dive bars, shit kicking, dive bars, but not like your sort of hoity-toity, upscale, like sort of New York, sort of almost snobby elite kind of gay bar. Does that, I don't want to mischaracterize what we've discussed.
Well, I mean, like, basically, like, we both have kind of punk rockishy roots, and I think that, like, the bars we went to when we were, I've never been a highbrow bar person. But the thing about Small Town Gay Bar was also about kind of like the miracle of this kind of community that grew in kind of unfertile soil. So like basically diversity in the face of adversity. When you think about the South, you're like, oh, that'd be a horrible place to be gay. And I wanted to examine that. And I was just some dumb kid from the suburbs who, with a bunch of friends went down with a camera and documented it, and ended up like meeting some really incredible people who were at that time very brave and honest about their journey. And it just worked out really, really well. That was a wonderful experience making that film.
And then your other films, we don't have time to go through all your whole career here, but Bear Nation was the follow-up movie, and then Clerk is the most recent film.
Clerk is well, Clerk, and it's kind of Phantom of Winnipeg and Clerk are kind of the two that are the most recent.
And Clerk was a passion project. I mean, did you work on it for almost 10 years? Am I?
No, I mean, some could argue I worked on it for 25 years, but like, I mean, essentially, like, I I got off. Somebody wanted to write a book about Kevin. Kevin pointed me in the direction of it, and it's just like I'm more of a documentarian than a writer. So I just said, look, I want to do a documentary. I said, look, if I'm gonna do these interviews, I might as well film them. Hence, I
Right.
might as well make a documentary. And and it just kind of Kevin said, okay. I was Kevin didn't really want. I mean, the thing about the challenge of making a documentary with Kevin is he's so public about everything. Everything is out there. So basically, like my challenge of making a documentary with Kevin was just basically to cram as much in to kind of explain his relevance, why he, why he's deserving of a documentary, which I believe he is, and that was kind of. That was the focus instead of like it wasn't like because it's really hard to kind of get like aha moments with Kevin Smith because everything's out there.
Well, to his credit, because Kevin Smith was an inspiration to me just based on his not only success with Clerks,
Well,
but
you were an
also,
inspiration for each other. Like Kevin was a huge, Kevin is a huge Film Thread fan. Like Kevin, like Kevin came on your panel. Like we
yeah.
we were both like, what I mean? Like Kevin, I think you guys were a big influence on each other.
Well, I know he said that he used to read Film Threat Video Guide and Film Threat, and then
He absolutely did.
yeah, and so he was a fan of it, and also just like I love the other documentary I would recommend, not just your documentary Clerk, but also the other documentary, The Snowball Effect.
Snowball Effect is like I would argue like I mean I was influenced by that movie and like I love it. It was directed by Phil Benson, who is he's a sound guy at Skywalker Ranch. That's how Kevin met him. And he's a really smart guy. But Snowball Effect is basically soup to nuts documentary on the making of Clerks. And it's great.
It's first of all, that documentary is supposed to be like an extra on the DVD of the 10th anniversary DVD of Clerks, which I actually have the 10th anniversary DVD release of it. It's an extra on it. And I convinced one of the executives at IFC, because I was doing a TV show for IFC at the time called Ultimate Film Fanatic. I said, have you seen this thing on the DVD? You need to run that on the channel. They ran it as a separate like documentary because it was really supposed to be this little like it's an extra that's on the DVDs, kind of celebrating the 10-year anniversary of Clerks, and goes into exhaustive detail how Kevin made it, how like he sold the movie literally with a deal written on a cocktail napkin with Harvey Weinstein.
It's literally a soup to nuts telling of like that entire story. It's a brilliant documentary. It's really well, and basically they get everybody, like they talk to everybody involved, and yeah, it's fantastic. I'm a big fan of that documentary.
I am as well, because you don't see it's partially the process of making the movie, but it's also the process of getting the film into Sundance and then selling the movie to a distributor, and the phenomenon of Clerks. I did see Clerks 3 in theaters at the special Fathom events thing. And I got to say, I was very skeptical early on about Clerks 3, and Kevin got me. I reviewed it on the channel back when it came out. I'm sure you can find the review, but he got me. He got me. It's the perfect ending. I don't think they're going to make a Clerks 4. I don't see any way you do it. But
he would. He totally
would. He do it?
Oh, of course. I mean, he's already got ghosts in it now. Like,
what the heck? He could do.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't want to spoil anything, but like, I don't know. They could totally do it.
They could do a haunting.
I mean, I would give everything away by saying how they, but yeah, they could do. I mean, like, he's the dude who made fucking that Walrus movie. Like, Kevin is the one thing about watching Kevin's career, like either on the inside or the outside, like he has had a really fucking weird career, like in a really positive way. Like he's had some stuff that like didn't really hit. Like Yoga Hosers is something that, like, my take on it is it's one of the most audacious. I can't believe that Johnny Depp is in that film. Like, it's just so, like, Yoga Hosers is such a fucking weird, like, with the bratwurst Nazis and stuff, and like I don't know, like it's just like it's Yoga Hosers is a movie I would recommend to anybody, but it's audacious that it got made. But beyond that, like, the Wall, like Tusk is a great film, and like Red State,
Red State.
went.
I love Red State.
The guy who made Clerks made Red State, made Dogma. Like Dogma, think about it. He got like two of the biggest stars in the world to make like this mediation on faith. Like that's impressive. So that's like so Kev, like, and beyond that, being a filmmaker, like you understand, like also being a part of the zeitgeist, like like he's had a voice that's kind of helped. Like Kevin was nostalgic about the 90s in the 90s. You know what I mean? And it's just kind of like, and everything kind of caught up to him, and now he's very much kind of like the elder statesman of geek, and he still enjoys it, and like it's still like one of the most wonderful things ever to witness is watching Kevin interact with his fans, because he truly like he loves Kevin Smith fans, and he like, because like they both love, he loves Kevin Smith, they love Kevin Smith. It's a wonderful meeting.
Well, I've been to at conventions, San Diego Comic-Con, he'll do a panel, and he also does panels at other conventions. And I'll say this, he has the most loyal fans. Someone even said about him, Kevin Smith is the only filmmaker I know who stalks his own fans. He really loves his fans. I'm talking about in a good way.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a group of, like, he bought a movie theater, and there's a group of people that'll come out, to see, like, he's doing an event this weekend where he's screening Chasing Amy, and Joy Lord and Adams is coming out, and like he packs that theater. And the funniest thing that he does now, and Kevin has always been this, he's a bit of a P.T. Barnum, but he really likes to he has a warning when you buy a ticket to one of his screenings that like this event is going to go at least 5 hours. Like he has to warn people, because like he talks forever, which is great. Like if you're a Kevin Smith fan, that's what you want. But if you're there just to go see a movie, like I remember I was there and they screened Jaws, and like it basically turned into a 5-hour event, and people were just like, I just wanted to see Jaws. Like, so yeah, he's, but like, again, like this weekend he has auctions before each screening, and he's like, it's fun. He, like, I mean, that dude, I think ever since a heart attack, I just think that he likes having fun.
Well, and also just to talk about your doc for a second, then I know we're going to talk about something else here, but Clerk, you didn't talk to Kevin. There was a little bit, not that you had a falling out.
Oh, no, there's falling out. We went to war. We fucking hated each other.
Right. You did have a falling out during the making of the doc. And one of the things, if I recall correctly, because I'm remembering back to when I interviewed you about it, that Kevin wanted to, in the documentary, go full force talk about Weinstein, all the Weinstein charges and everything else. He was like, you got to put it in the doc. And there was a little, correct me if I'm wrong. There was
You're wrong. That's not what it was.
Okay, Kevin, what was the reason for the falling? I know that was something he wanted.
What happened is that like I've been around, like I know Kevin's involvement in Weinstein. Like Kevin has fucking no involvement in Weinstein as anybody has with their boss. Like he, like, it's not like Kevin was privy to any information that, like, you know what I mean? Like like it just so happens that a guy that gave Kevin money to make his movies did some fucking horrendous, awful things. And at the beginning of it, like I knew this was going to be a kind of a puffy documentary. It wasn't going to be an incisive documentary, just by the nature of how it was being built. So I was like, look, I didn't see a place. I guess it's it's my problem as a director or something. I was just like, I don't know how to kind of talk about all this stuff and then get into this. Like, the Harvey Weinstein thing is so serious, it belongs in its own movie. It doesn't belong in this small little sub part of a documentary celebrating, you know, this dude's career and life, right? So I was just like I just didn't want to get into it because, like, ultimately I didn't see how we could really do this in-depth look at it and then jump back into, like, you know, the dick and fart jokes. Like, either make a documentary with Harvey Weinstein or it just I didn't feel it flow. But Kevin was like, Kevin agreed, and at the very end he was like, I have to say something about Harvey. And I was like, well, it's not built that way. So essentially, like, I don't have any other perspective. I don't have other people talking about it. It's not how it was designed. But Kevin wanted to say a piece, and then we didn't talk for a year. And I just felt like I had my idea of something. And if I knew it was going to go in that direction, I would have done things differently. But ultimately, in the end, like, Kevin was right. And my editor, it was basically Kevin did the piece. And then my editor found a place for it and it worked perfectly. I can, like, that was my experience with it. Like, it's not that I don't think the Harvey Weinstein needs to be examined. It was just in the movie we're making, it just didn't fit. Kevin found a way. He basically did a monologue about it. My editor found a place to put it, and it worked. But, like, it was a real challenge for me to kind of, like, I don't know if I'm explaining myself properly, but, like, to properly cover the Harvey Weinstein thing, I think it would have taken us in a completely different direction, taken a lot of time. That's how, like, because that's the viewpoint I took of it.
Chris, you muted.
Everybody's silent.
I know Chris is muted.
Sorry about that. You started a new company, is that right?
Yes. Did I say the wrong thing?
No, you didn't say the wrong thing.
No, Chris was muted and he wasn't.
I was muted.
You were muted?
Yeah, because
No, but like, I mean, I don't want to, like, I don't want to sound like, you know, I don't want to say like there was a reason, but essentially, like, in the end, Kevin wasn't wrong, but in the end, like, there was a lot of stuff that had to be figured out.
Did you feel like it was
like crazy about it?
Did you feel like it was out of context of the film, or that you were dipping your toe into something that needed to be?
I just felt I was dipping my toe into something that could be perceived as sensationalism. That could have totally gone wrong. That, like, you know what I mean? I mean, how much are we holding a filmmaker accountable to? Like, it's like, does Quentin have to, like, is Quentin constantly questioned about that? Is Robert, like, these guys who work with Miramax, like, Harvey Weinstein's a piece of shit. We all know that, right? Like, does he need any more ink of people just saying he's a piece of shit? He's a piece of shit. We all know Harvey Weinstein's a piece of shit, right?
Yeah, I don't think anyone was surprised when that came out. You know what I mean? Like,
no, I mean, I think it was surprised that, like, the level that it was. But everybody knew he was a fucking scumbag. Everybody knew he was a fucking loud, fucking awful, abusive human being. Didn't know he was raping people. And it's horrible. And again, he should, you know, he's getting his punishment as he should. But, like, how accountable are the artists who worked him for his behavior?
Yeah, I
mean, what do you think? I mean, am I wrong?
I think that the film deals with it really in a really good way. And also, like, look, I've been around people who were just like I knew John Cristofalusi back when he was doing Ren and Stimpy, and a lot of bad stuff came out about him. You know, how am I, like, I didn't know, that's
you were pals with John Cristofalusi, right?
Back in the early 90s. Yeah, my daughter and he shared the same birthday. I had a friend, Glenn Barr, who, you know, was an artist who lived in the guest house back where we were living at this duplex. And, you know, he'd walk to work off Melrose Avenue. It was this idyllic time where Ren and Stimpy changed the animation industry.
Well, you guys put him on the cover, didn't you?
We put Ren and Stimpy on the cover of Film Threat. We spun off another magazine called Wild Cartoon Kingdom. But I didn't know that he was chatting online with people that he shouldn't have been chatting with. How do I know that? You know what I mean? So, I knew him back then and celebrated his career. And then I became friends with the filmmakers who were doing a documentary about him. And they finished the doc. And then all these charges came out about John. And then his career was over. And then they had to completely imagine finishing your documentary and you have to completely make a new documentary. And that's what they did.
They made a new documentary?
A completely different
They had to
documentary.
rearrange their documentary.
Well, they had to change it because...
and basically they had to kind of tear apart the hero.
Well, they went into the charges that were... I mean, this movie was at Sundance, by the way. I think it's called Happy, Happy, Joy, Joy is the name of the documentary, and I contributed...
What year was it at Sundance?
Oh, this is maybe 2020. It was at Sundance.
How come that movie didn't get then again, it's so hard for anything to break through in this day and age. But
I think part of it was the pandemic coming right on the heels of that.
Right.
But here's the thing, like animators that worked with Chris Felucci, are they responsible for Chris Felucci's behavior? Like it's like there comes a certain point where it's just like it's great to talk about the gossip and all that kind of stuff, but ultimately the relevance, like, I don't know, like the world is just fucking, like, everybody's just so up in everybody's bit, and it's just like Harvey Weinstein. Of course, it's good that people are held to task for things that they do, but essentially, like, we should just move on. Like, just convict. Like, it should be about like convicted. Are they convicted? Then then they deserve to have their careers ruined and all that kind of stuff. But like, there's also a lot of accusations out there that aren't. Like, look what happened to fucking Aziz Ansari, man. Like, that was horrible.
Right. Well, a couple things. We got a lot of chat questions. A lot of people in the chat that want to ask you questions.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
So here we go. Here come the floodgates.
They're just like, stop.
They're chomping at the bit.
Weinstein. Does anybody want to date?
Like, look, if you are a person, I'm just going to say this on this topic. If you're a person and you know a certain number of people, there will be bad people in a group. And the more people you know, you'll know more bad people because it's just percentages. If I know 100 people, there are going to be some bad apples. If I know 10,000 people, there are going to be a lot more bad apples. And that's just the way it is. So,
especially in that city of sin that you live in.
Oh my God. I live in Pasadena. I'll say that. You live in Canada, right? So,
I do.
Yeah.
I'm a Canuck.
There you go. Well, they have better beer there. That's for sure.
We have good beer.
Yeah, you do. Let's go to the comments and questions here.
Okay.
And I want to circle back and get to your new company.
Okay.
It's a distribution label, right?
Yep.
All right. Tell us about the distribution label.
You want me to tell you about it?
Yeah,
essentially, like, we just went through so much shit, like trying to get Clerk out there and just dealing with people. And it's just like, look, man, like, Kevin's got an audience. Like, and it was just working with people that just didn't have any kind of concept of how to connect the two. So with that, I was just like, fuck it. I've been like around all this shit for 30 years. I've worked for film festivals. I've done this, I've done that, I've done this. So it's like, I'm basically opening a brick and mortar store, like, online. And like, it's like, basically, the only thing I'm going to sell right now is my shit. And then hopefully if I figure out a good way to get, like, because I have a backlog of movies that I know, like, I mean, as my career, like, kind of started, like, DVD and physical media just went away. So the independent arena turned weird, and distribution, I mean, I don't know if it's ever recovered, but distribution is so confusing, and there's just so many fucking bad apples out there and just kind of like, I was just like, fuck it. Like, I'm just going to throw my hat in the ring, and I'm going to, like, basically, like, if you want a Blu-ray of Clerk with all the extras and like the last filmed interview with Stan Lee and all that kind of stuff. Well, here's our site, Mercantile Instinct. That's where you're gonna find it. Like, we're not gonna go through Amazon or like that. It's just like we're just literally like the equivalent of brick and mortar thing online. We just put up our sign like we're open. And
what's
it's
the
kind of
website?
experiment.
What's the website?
Mercantileinstinct.com.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm gonna go to it.
Yeah, I'll just say I've been to a few film festivals, and the talk amongst filmmakers is distribution and how they
Is
get
which?
screwed in. It's distribution. It's how they're getting screwed in distribution.
But
How it-
like, I don't think anybody, like, there's a certain level, like, there's a certain level where you just, there's no money. Like, essentially, like, there's so much product, and it's just such a tier. Like, either you're Netflix money, or you're like some weird fucking startup company that like has all these ideas but doesn't follow through, and you're kind of left stuck with this company for 7 years. And and basically they're trying to find a way to make the most money, so they're following like whatever title kind of pops off. The other ones get left behind. Like, it's a complicated industry, and it's been very frustrating. Yeah, it'll drive you fucking crazy. So I was just like, well, I've got these movies, and like, I mean, I'll open a store and I'll sell them, and basically I'll sell them through physical media, because I believe in physical media. I like physical media. So
I do as well. I released my
that's-
movie Attack of the Doc on Blu-ray in July, and we sold out. I have to do a second run. So
we did a VHS.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we did there's a VHS you could buy at Clerk.
Oh, that's great. I'll bring up the site, but we have a lot of questions from the chat here.
Okay.
We've got almost 400 people watching live. Let's go to the
Really?
chat. Yeah. There you go. Matthew Hammond for 499 asks a question. Can Harvey Weinstein be a terrible person and a great producer at the same time? Can you separate the art he helped create from his proclivities?
I mean, yes, that like he can be both, but the thing about it is that like, unfortunately, like his crimes are so related to like actors and stuff, like yeah, like I'm not gonna, like, it's hard to sit there and talk about a great producer he is when there's just this huge shadow of awfulness behind him. So can he be both? Yes, but being one changes the other.
I think so as well. For example, Hunter Biden is a brilliant artist who's created incredible art. May he also be a criminal? It's possible. I think it's possible. But he creates great art, apparently.
I still watch Woody Allen films, but I don't watch whatchamacallit, Roman Polanski films. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, but I love Woody Allen. I grew up watching Woody Allen, so to see all of that play out is bad. IR Abnormal says, I prefer physical media to digital any day. And Lord of the Films says, what's your favorite Kevin Smith movie? Question for you, Malcolm.
Mine, probably Chainsaw Bob Strike Back. It's probably my favorite. That or Red State. I think those two favorites.
They're very different in tone. I really love Red State because you think it's going to be one movie and it becomes a completely different movie. Like, it almost starts off kind of a little bit like it's going to be a little raunchy, Kevin Smith, clever dialogue, and it goes complete opposite direction. I love that.
And it just doesn't stop. Like, that movie's relentless. I love that film.
So what does it say that I like Jersey Girl?
Sorry?
What does it say that I like Jersey Girl?
Well, Jersey Girl, like, there's a long cut of Jersey Girl that's actually really great. Like, before because they had to like really slice and dice that movie after the Ben and J-Lo thing, right? So like they had to cut J-Lo out of the movie because audiences couldn't handle seeing those two together on screen at that time. But there's J-Lo is a great actress, and like, she gives a great performance. and that was just ruined by the times. But there is a long version of that movie that is actually really, really wonderful.
We have a lot of questions, so let's plow through them here. M Beaching says a beard which commands respect.
Thank you.
Solomon Thornton, holy ZZ Top beard. Greetings, Sir Malcolm. Any advice for beginning filmmakers?
If there's anything else in the world you'd be happier to do that. Like, because but beyond that, like, make sure, like, if you're making a movie, like, make sure you love it. Like, love what you're doing, love what you're making. Don't make it for any other reason that you need to tell that story, because, like, don't try and guess what people want to see. Make what you want to see, and the chances are, if you love it, you put your heart into it, people will also want to see it.
Wes Ray says Elvis 69.
Yeah, it's a it's a 6 sheet. It's from The Trouble with Girls.
From Rumble, because we're also live on Rumble.
Okay.
24, like a normal person who just happens to be gay.
Is that just what they're saying?
Yeah. Just like, I think that Hollywood in their mind has a vision of a type of person who is gay that is not like any gay person I've actually ever known in real life.
I once won a cocksucking contest at a bar on ecstasy once.
You just blew that out of the water now.
That's going to get clipped for a YouTube short. Razorburn says, Malcolm, I am a huge fan of the Phantom of the Paradise and loved your documentary about
thank you so much. Phantom Winnipeg it's a movie that every time I think about it, it's a movie that I can't wait to share because we played that at Fantasia Fest in Montreal.
This is coming soon.
Yeah,
Phantom of Winnipeg.
It is coming soon, and Continental. But we won Best Documentary at Fantasia Fest, and then we played another festival, the Sleepy Hollow Film Festival, and we won Best Doc there. And then the pandemic happened, so we haven't really been able to have it's a fun Phantom Winnipeg is a fun. It's a documentary about in 1974 when this movie that Brian De Palma directed called Phantom of the Paradise came out. It was a failure everywhere in the world except this city called Winnipeg, which is in the middle of Canada, which is notorious for just being really cold. And so essentially, to this day, they still have they still have screenings that sell out. People are crazy, and for Phantom of the Paradise. And when it came out, it made more money in Winnipeg than Jaws did, than The Exorcist. It was a huge phenomenon. Only in Winnipeg. So we did a documentary about it. It's really, the people are really, really, I met some really wonderful and interesting people. But the 50th anniversary of Phantom of the Paradise is coming up next year, and Winnipeg is having a huge event. So we're going to kind of premiere that next year for that. That's going to be part of the 50th anniversary of Phantom of the Paradise.
More comments and then questions here. Let's go to it. Sailor Mercury says, Kevin Smith used to be really great. I'd be interested to see a documentary on him, particularly his early days. Well, watch Clerk.
Watch Clerk or watch
Snowball Effect.
Watch the Snowball Effect. If you want to see, there's a documentary called The Snowball Effect that is all about Kevin, and it's all about clerks, and it's a really wonderful documentary.
Womp Biscuits also comments, like him or not, Kevin Smith was a groundbreaking director. The 90s wouldn't be the same without his films. And the Nerd Far Away says, hail, Mr. Ingram. What do you like doing when you're not making documentaries?
I like smoking weed. I like going swimming in pools. I really got into pools. I like listening to Taylor Swift.
You're going to go see that Taylor Swift movie that's coming to theaters?
Yeah, I'm going to see the drive-in.
Yeah, it's easier to get a ticket to that than her show.
I got a ticket to her show. You know, my new thing right now is I belong to a Facebook group, which is people trying to get Taylor Swift tickets. So basically, it's a combination of Swifties dealing with a bunch of like grizzled scalpers and scam artists. So basically, like somebody will post an ad for a Taylor Swift ticket, and then the Swifties will tear apart why it's not real. That's my new thing. So that's what I do.
So did you get tickets?
I got a ticket. Yeah, I paid for it.
Oh, nice. Let's see.
Taylor, I mean, that's a culture event of, that's a huge cultural event. And I mean, I have a lot of love. I mean, I love Taylor Swift. I think she's great. And I think that like it's better than that whore Kim Kardashian. Like, you know what I mean? Like if I had a young daughter, I would be like, thank God for Taylor Swift.
Well, I could not name one Taylor Swift song.
Come on, Cruel
I don't know.
Summer?
I don't know anything. I will go see that movie, and I'm gonna make Alan go see it.
How do you not know? How do you not know a Taylor Swift song?
Yeah,
Dude,
Bad
I'm
Love.
an old Gen X guy. What am I gonna listen to Taylor Swift?
I'm a Gen X too, and I know Taylor Swift songs.
All right. Well, I don't know any of them, and I'm proud.
I love her. She's great. I mean, I've seen her before. I saw the night. I brought my entire family to see the 1989 tour. Like, she's great. She's great. I love her.
I will go see the movie. I may end up being a fan. We have a complete non-fan, couldn't name a song. Alan knows everything about Taylor Swift. He's going to see the movie as well.
I love Taylor.
Yeah. Well, my daughter definitely.
That documentary is going to make $100 million when it opens.
Dude, that documentary is going to make probably make $250. Like when it's done, that movie's going to make so much money. They're going to keep going to see it over and over. These Swifties are a loyal bunch.
And by the way, she is releasing it to theaters. She's not going through some big distributor. The U.S. theatrical theater chains are so desperate for content. There, we talked about it earlier in the show. I went to see The Dark Knight, and it was packed with kids who didn't see the movie when it came out 15 years ago in 2008. So retro films are making a comeback. Fathom events are big. I mean, Kevin, when he releases his movies theatrically, he goes through Fathom events. That's how I saw Clerks 3. I think it's very smart alternative content because the studios, I don't think, are resonating in a broad mainstream way the way they used to. And movies like Relax, I'm From the Future, directed by Luke Higginson, like that movie, that's also another indie release. I believe a new golden age of indies is upon us as the studios lose favor. I mean, honestly, I love superheroes. I'm sick of superhero movies. Okay. And I love superheroes.
I think a great sign for the future is just that, like what happened with Barbie. Like a movie that I fully was like I'm not a huge Greta Gerwig fan, and like Barbie is, although I'm gay, I'm still not a huge Barbie guy. But like I saw that, I couldn't believe how smart it was. My jaw was on the floor at how smart that movie was, and how she got to do that kind of playing around with like corporate, like Mattel. I mean, I mean that's a golden corporate like god, and the fact that the lessons, like there's some very, very good and interesting stories in that. Like I'm glad that movie exists. And and basically it's an indie film. Like Barbie, like the mentality and all that kind of stuff. It's very much an indie film.
It is. It's a road movie. It's also not made for young girls. It's made for millennials. I believe it's made for millennials, and in particular millennial moms, because Barbie as a brand was losing favor with young moms who didn't want to give their daughters Barbies. And also, when people are surprised that there's feminist messaging in Barbie from the very beginning has always been a feminist icon. Always. From the beginning, has never not been that. If you're surprised that the movie has feminist messaging, you haven't been paying attention. It's also, I recognize it's not a movie for me. I'm not a Barbie guy. But
you liked it? No?
I enjoyed the stuff with Ken. The stuff with Ken was great. And I was entertained by the music and the songs. It's just, I recognize it's not a movie for me. But there's a question here from Matthew Hammond for $4.99, which is a super chat, which means we are obligated to ask this. They want to know, Malcolm, what are your thoughts on Bros?
I love that. What's his name?
Billy
Yep.
something.
Which?
Eichinger. Billy
Billy
Eichinger.
Eichner.
Eichinger.
Bill Eichner. I love him. I think he's one of the funniest people in the world. But I think that movie is such a cop out in the fact that like ultimately he just falls for like a hot guy, and you're just kind of like, well, what's the big magical step? Like he made such a big deal about like casting all gay people and all this and that, and it's just kind of like he like the actor that it cast as the male lead, the love interest is boring as fuck, and you're just like watching that movie, you're like, I don't understand how this character, like he's falling in love with his personality or something. Like the only time they really click is when like the new boyfriend exhibits some business acumen. I found it like I was rooting for that movie 100%, and I was just like, it just, I don't know, it wasn't my bag.
Right.
So that's my thoughts.
Oh, I was just putting up your if you go to Merkin style.
What is your guys' thoughts on Bros?
Oh, I didn't like it.
Did you see it?
I did see it. I didn't like it. We even have a writer for Film Threat who's gay who refused to see the movie because he said the movie leaned way too heavily into stereotypes. Here's the biggest problem I have with that movie. One, it's not authentically gay from the breadth of like gay people I've known in my life, including my uncle who happened to be gay, who was a decorated Vietnam War veteran, was just not like you. He just happened to be gay, not like effeminate in any way whatsoever. And I think this movie leaned way too much into cliches. And I think the biggest problem with this movie was the budget. You don't make a $50 million movie. It should have been made for under 5 million and been like a smaller indie movie. It would have been a hit and made a lot of money.
But here's the thing. You know, they needed to cast as they shouldn't have focused on casting all gay characters, because the male lead, the romantic lead, should have been Paul Rudd. 100%.
Yeah. And I don't like this thing that Hollywood has where it's like, well, you have to actually be the thing to be cast as the thing. Do you remember when Scarlett Johansson was going to be cast to play a trans person, and then the mob got all on her like, you can't do that? Actors can play gay characters. Rock Hudson played straight characters for years. Who cares? Just be a good actor. And you're right. Paul Rudd in that movie would have been way better. I still think the movie was made. It's a more narrow market. And it's like the kind of movie that, look, I've been seeing movies at Sundance for years. Gay cinema is just part of Sundance and part of indie film. The problem is when you scale it, like the movie was never going to be a blockbuster.
That was the weird thing. And Eichner was really kind of like, he got all pissy online, like being like, I can't believe you didn't. It's just kind of like, how many people do you expect to go see like the Gay Bros movie? Like it's only going to get so many people.
Yeah.
Unless they cast a Paul Rudd, then they'll get the numbers. Like that's the game.
Yeah, like I feel like they were virtue signaling with the making of the movie, and they forgot you're making a movie for everyone. And the thing is this, it's not as if the general public doesn't like gay themed cinema. I've watched John Waters movies for years. You look at the why am I spacing on the name? The gay cowboy movie, with Heath Ledger and Jake Gyllenhaal.
Ang Lee, Brokeback Mountain.
Brokeback Mountain. Why did I not remember that? Among other types of films about drag. I'm just like, look, make it for everyone. So there you go. All right, more back to the chat comments and questions, because I know we got to wrap up. Jackson Cagle for 5 says, "Hail the fellowship." Well, there you go. Aaron Taylor, he's right. Does every film about a director with a movie produced by Miramax have to apologize for that connection to Harvey? Tarantino, he's just bringing that up. M. Beeching says, I'd love him to create another classic or masterpiece, but he needs to come back down to earth as if it's his first film again.
I don't know.
Talking about Kevin. Yeah. Talking about Kevin.
His new film is, I think, like his new film is very personal. And it's kind of like I read the script. They just wrapped, I think. The new film is I think people are gonna like. There's a lot of heart in it.
All right. I'll admit, I saw Clerks 3. I got choked up at the end. It was like this era, and I'm like, I'll go see Clerks 3, whatever. I think Kevin gets himself into trouble by being a little too public. I feel like the only thing I have not seen of Kevin is his penis. And by that, I mean, when he will like see something and then he takes a photo of himself crying and put it on social media, I'm like, Kevin, you
I
can
don't
save your
understand,
private moments.
but it's became a trend. Like
Right.
people crying at superhero scenes, and you're just like, this is really weird. Like, because
Right,
Kevin
right.
did it, but then it'd be like a bunch of other people would do it, and they literally it'd be like the end of the Avengers, and people would just film themselves weeping, and you're like, what the fuck happened to society? Like, we've
Right.
got people like weeping at fucking superhero movies and photographing them like that. Anyway,
Will you bust Kevin's balls the next time you see him about that? Will you do that?
I
for
do
me?
bust his balls about it.
Oh,
I
Kevin
do you
needs
think
to
really?
do
I-
it 50 more
I
times.
make fun of his crying.
He
Okay,
needs to do it
That
50 more
doesn't
times
make
and everywhere.
you know what that
Sorry?
means? You know what that means, Malcolm? That means you are a good friend. You are a good friend to Kevin. To
Well,
bust his balls.
you gotta bust his balls. But generally, I mean, as you said, like, there's not much not out there about Kevin. Like, he pretty much lays it all out there.
Penis size. That's the only secret Kevin has kept.
I think he said.
Oh, really?
I think it's out there
Alan,
somewhere.
Alan,
I
will
mean,
you
there's no
look that up?
picture.
Look
I,
it up.
I think he's talked about his penis size.
Right. Razorburn has a question here. Was Mallrats filmed in Minnesota?
Eden Prairie, Minnesota. It was. And basically, I was there on set because of Film Threat magazine with Paul Zimmerman,
That's
who
right.
used
That's
to be a
right.
cohort of Chris Gore. That's basically, I
Yeah.
was on the set of that film for Film Threat when I got the offer to make my first movie, Drawing Flies, which Kevin had just been given a deal by Miramax to make 2 micro-budget movies, and Drawing Flies was one of them, in which I make a cameo wearing a Film Threat t-shirt.
I love that. Film Threat will show up. Film Threat's in Mallrats. I think there's like a Film Threat magazine on the newsstand.
I believe it is. I think
Yeah.
it's in Clerks too, isn't it? Now I think.
I don't know if it's in Clerks. I know it's in Mallrats, and I know it's in like, what's that Dan Clowes movie? Art School Confidential.
Oh,
It's
really?
Film Threat. There's a character with a Film Threat T-shirt. There's a character in The Sopranos that has Film Threat magazines on a table. Like Film Threat was in Dawson's Creek in the 90s. There's a character that is wearing this woman. She's a film director, and she meets Dawson at a bar, and she's wearing a Film Threat T-shirt the entire episode. I forget which episode of Dawson's Creek, but you can look.
Film Threat was like in the '90s. It was an incredibly influential magazine, right? It kind of was the precursor to like A24 and Letterboxd and all that. It was kind of like real film fans that liked eclectic work. That's where you would go.
Right. Is Dogma ever going to get another Blu-ray release? The out-of-print Blu-ray has been going for ridiculous money on the secondary market. Would love a 4K release.
Well, I mean, it's Harvey Weinstein owns the movie.
Oh shit!
And the problem is that
or does Miramax own it?
No, Harvey himself owns it because Disney didn't want any piece of it.
Oh, that's
so when they made it, it got too controversial. So Harvey bought it and created a releasing company to put it out there. It was like this thing, but Harvey owns that. He owns that in another movie. But it's not even like. But it's just like, who's going to do business with Harvey Weinstein? It's like Kevin can't buy it because then he's giving Harvey Weinstein money. Like, it's a real ethical thing.
What if he buys it for a penny? We should go to jail.
But Harvey Weinstein won't sell it.
He won't sell it for that.
Like, right? Like, it's Harvey wants money for it. Like, it's
he has legal fees.
Like, the movie has value, but whoever buys it has to figure a way to do it to wrestle with the kind of ethical thing. Like, it's really like, it shouldn't be that much of a problem, but like the fact that it is such a problem isn't a bad thing. You know what I mean? It's like he's a bad man. It's a very complicated issue. Like I like my issue. I don't think that everybody who ever like the thing about Miramax is there were some incredible people who worked at that company that worked their fucking asses off to help build that company that now have to be ashamed of
Right.
their time there because of that fucking dumb fuck. It's really it's horrible because I know a lot of people who worked at Miramax, like really good people, like honorable, like decent people who are treated like horribly by this man. But in the early, mid, late 90s, Miramax was the game in town, right? Like that's just the way it was. It's hard to explain to people how important Miramax was to the 90s. Like without Miramax, there's no Pulp Fiction. And without Pulp Fiction, like who knows where we are.
Yeah. Here we go. So 2 final questions here, because I know we got to wrap up. Geek Truth 64 says Clerks 1 and 2 are 2 great movies. Really captures working retail banter. I really didn't like Clerks 3. Fair, whatever. But I'd love to check out the Clerk doc. Did it have a physical release? Well, guess
funny
what?
that you ask.
Look at that. You can go to, we'll put the link in the description for this episode. We'll put the link in there.
Thank you.
Mercantile Instinct. Look it up. Clerk is there, available on Blu-ray and incoming. Phantom of Winnipeg, Continental, and I assume your other films will eventually come.
Yes, I'm Small Town Gay Bar is out of release, so I'm gonna try and get that out there as well.
Yeah, you can sign up for Malcolm's email list, but check out, you could not have asked a better question, Geek Truth 64. And finally, Horror Punk says, Malcolm rules, love this dude.
I love Horror Punk. Like what a nice thing to read, right? Like, thank you, Horror Punk. Like that, thank you. I appreciate that.
Our chat loves to talk to indie filmmakers. So, hey, Malcolm, thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you for having me.
All the success.
Good to see you.
And I gotta say, I don't know if I sent you, I may have a rough cut of the Film Threat documentary that I've been working on for a decade. It is very much.
Last time we were talking about that.
Yeah. Did you watch it?
Off. We never end up following up.
All right. I'll email me. You have my email. Your publicist can give me send if you don't have my email. I'm pretty sure I have your email somewhere. I can just do a search, but like you should see we're getting close. It's about we're gonna spend another year on it, I think. But like you getting
another year,
dude. I've been spending 10 years. What's another year? You got to do color correction. I got to clear sound. I got to get finishing funds. I'm trying to get here. Okay, I have a question for you. Super chat from Chris Gore, who asks, I need $100,000 or more in finishing funds for my documentary.
No, you don't. That's a lot of money.
You think so? I know it's a lot of money, but I know what things cost. They're hard costs. Music clearances. There's things you can't get around.
What's the biggest song that you want?
I want something iconic from the 90s. So
do you know what song it is?
I don't yet, but I have a playlist. And
you know what I was really excited about using, because Clerk, we got like I got to use the one music cue that I could not believe has never been used before, and it's the greatest on the Waterfront, Simple Minds.
Oh wow, I love that song.
I mean that music cue is so like that opening, but like I got to use it, and it was just kind of like Simple Minds fits in a Kevin.
So how much did you pay them? How much did you pay them?
Not much. That's the thing about documentaries. You don't have to pay. Like on my documentary Out to Win, like this is before the Queen documentary came out. Like we licensed like the movie opens with We Will Rock You and ends with We're the Champions. Like, and then we had Heroes by Bowie. Like documentary, they usually play a lot easier. Like we got Bruce Springsteen we had 2 Bruce Springsteen songs in the Clerk documentary, and they're Jersey boys, so like we got the Jersey discount.
The Jersey discount. Well, look, there's still like hard costs, like sound mix, color correction.
I know, I'm just bugging. Yeah, like of course. I mean, it's
lawyers. You know what? Like if I laid it out, it's like it seems like a lot of money talking to people. There are things you cannot do. Like I did Attack of the Dock all correctly, right? But I had a budget that was from a Kickstarter. So like, and I also spent at least another 20, 30 grand out of pocket, my own money to finish it. Attack of the Dock, which is a documentary about G4 TV and Attack of the Show. I can send you that. It's on Amazon.
I mean, Fans of Winnipeg, I put like, at this point, like, and I'm not a rich man at all. Like I've got like, I put like $20,000 on a credit card. Like, you know what's really funny about independent film is that there's very much, nobody believes you should pay yourself. Like that's the whole funny thing.
I didn't pay myself.
But nobody, I ended up paying to make movies. Mm-hmm. Like it's such a weird way to make a living. Like, you know, and it's so hard. Like, my God, the struggle of like I got really lucky earlier on. Like, you know, getting a friendship with Kevin, and Kevin's very supportive and stuff. And like, I don't think for a moment that I'm not very privileged to have that. Like, that's been, like, I've been very, very lucky. And and just talking to other people, like, you know, I mean, most people don't make independent film just to get rich. They do it because they have something to say. They have something they want to share with the world, and they love movies. And it's just kind of like, God, it's such a heartbreaking because it's just such a heartbreaking business, man. There's so much fucking bad out there. There's so many, like, all this, because filmmaking got cool in the 90s, right? Like when you got, you know, Tarantino made it all look so great. So all those scumbags that usually just become lawyers on Wall Street, they all of a sudden like, oh, so all of a sudden you have this new brand of scumbag in Hollywood, and now it's like, it's unrecognizable. Like the movies they make, you're just like, what the fuck? Like, thank God for like an A24. Like the thing about, you know, like A24, it's a little too that group, like that.
It's a little hipster. It's a little hipster.
It's very hipster, and just the way, like the Timothy Chalamet wearing the fucking like A24 like beret is a little much. But like
right.
But still, it's great that like there's a place that, like, you know, like those movies could be considered like outsider art, right? Like that movie that what's his face made, that the one with
Marcel the Shell,
Phoenix, the one with Joaquin Phoenix.
The recent one.
What was that one by the filmmaker that did
Beau is Afraid? His name.
What was it? But like Martin Scorsese was like, all filmmakers were like, this movie is genius. And it's like thank God for A24. And like they're putting out, like, Stop Making Sense, man. How exciting is that? Like, part of the film world, which is really exciting, is like they're showing Stop Making Sense at IMAX, and John Waters has an exhibition. Like that, what's happening with John Waters is the most thrilling and exciting thing in the world. Like, anybody who gives a shit about indie film at all knows the importance of John Waters, and to finally see that guy get all of this due at one time, it's so like, and his movies are fucked up. Like it's like the thing about it is,
I know
the Academy is giving all of this attention, but if you watch a John Waters, like, you can't watch those with your parents. Like, John Waters film, you can only show to a certain type of people, because like there's a dude eating dog shit in it. Like, you know what I mean? It's like there's some fucked up shit in those movies. But they're fantastic. They're great. And like that again, that makes my heart, like, it makes me feel so good to see John Waters getting credit. It gives me hope that, like, maybe, you know, maybe bad taste in a good way is kind of infiltrating Hollywood, and we'll get to see some interesting stuff. There needs to be a changeover. Sorry to keep. There seems to be needs to be a real changeover in kind of all the people who are kind of there now, and it's a very chummy, like, you know, the same people that I do that are now kind of running things, and it's just like everybody kind of grew up together, and it's like, oh, they're running that, and it's just kind of like we just need fresh blood. There's just so many people that are just fucking lifers, and like they don't have the greatest taste. and basically they're the most political, so they get the jobs. It's not the most adventurous or interesting people. So it's kind of like I think the whole thing needs a transfusion. I think new blood is very much needed in Hollywood, but
No,
that's
that's partly why we do all these interviews. I want to inspire people in our audience to say you can be a part of this industry. Doesn't mean you're the director or the filmmaker, but filmmaking's a team sport, as you know. So
it's very and the thing about it is that anybody could do it now. Like your phone, like this, this is everything. You don't need more than that. And like,
yeah,
I don't know. Like, it's just kind of like, if you want to be a filmmaker, you don't have to ask for permission anymore. Like the first movie I made, we filmed on fucking film. Like that was expensive. The first movie I made, Drawing Flies, which is a failed epic. And I didn't see a frame of that movie until after we finished filming it. Like, we couldn't afford to get dailies. Like, literally, we filmed that entire movie, and then we went to New Jersey to edit it, and we got everything developed at the same time. And it was just like, it was a very different way, filming and fucking editing. I edited that movie on a Steenbeck, like cutting film, which, like, to a nostalgist might seem like a great idea. It was shit. Like,
dude,
I
did the same thing. I cut Super 8 movies I made as a kid and 16 millimeter. I made a 16 millimeter feature that's terrible. I made when I was in college.
Well, whatever happened to Red?
It came out on DVD. Red. It's a short film. For people that don't know, I made a film called Red. It's a short. It came out on VHS
with Lawrence Turney from fucking from Reservoir Dogs. And
I should re-release it. I should re-release it on Blu-ray.
You should totally, like, Red, like, and a lot of those stuff. Like, do you guys? Whatever happened to Chicken Hawk?
Oh, well, I don't own that. That's Todd Phillips.
Who? He owns that?
Isn't that Todd Phillips? Yeah, he owns it. But we distributed a lot of small indie movies, like Gigi Allen and the Murder Junkies.
Well, yeah, and like the Necromantic.
Oh my god,
Necromantic movie, like that Gigi Allen movie. Like, did you?
A lot of those are getting re-released by other companies, and then they all come to me and say, would you like to be interviewed for the behind the scenes of the retrospective release of a movie you put out in the 90s and early 2000s? Because we did the VHS stuff in the 90s, which was this great era, and then the early 2000s, and then everything got, and this is a whole other conversation. Everything has gotten too corporatized. That's why Disney sucks. Disney kills creativity. That's why real creative people do not want to work for Disney or big corporations. And people like Chris Nolan are like, I just want to work somewhere where they let me do what I want to do. And when you let Chris Nolan do what he wants to do, he makes $1 billion freaking dollars with Oppenheimer, right? Like, I think the superhero era it's sunsetting right now. It's sunsetting. But there's got to be a new wave of indies.
Sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead. Sorry.
No, is Chicken Hawk coming out?
I have no idea. I don't know what happened.
I have a bootleg of that movie. Like, that movie is sensationally fucked up.
Yes,
and one of the absolute coups of that movie is they have the Ginsberg stuff where you're just like that's what it just changes. Like, anybody who doesn't know, Chris released a movie in the 90s called Chicken Hawk, and it's about NAMBLA, and it's very NAMBLA. Like, the characters none of them are sympathetic. They're all
like an expose. No, it's horrible. It's
absolutely horrible. And but all of a sudden, out of nowhere, fucking Allen Ginsberg, like legendary poet Howl, like shows up on camera, like at a NAMBLA rally. Like, it's pretty. I mean, it's very, very. What's the word I'm looking for? I mean, it's fucked up. It's a fucked up movie. But then again, it's always fucking hated. Like, you released, and
that's right, hated. Yeah,
it took a lot of courage for you to release those movies. Like, those weren't easy in any way.
They're hard subject documentaries, and
I
always
hate, like, those two movies. Like, they still scarred my fucking brain.
People still talk about it.
But you had the balls to put that stuff out like that. Like that took a lot of balls.
And Necromantic, a Super 8 movie, Super 8 horror film by a German director, Jörg Buttgereit, about
And then there was a
exactly
sequel,
what
right?
you would think. There was Necromantic too, and then he did a third film we distributed called Der Todesking, which is
and you also like you were doing Richard Kern stuff.
Richard Kern films, yeah, not Nick Zed though, but Richard Kern. So yeah,
what did Lydia Lunch?
Lydia Lunch. I don't think we released her movies, but we released movies that she was in. And then Todd Phillips, I knew I put out 2 volumes of short films from the New York Underground Film Festival and hated G.G. Allen and Murder Junkies. And Todd Phillips contacted us and said, hey, so we're working, literally Dave Williams and I are sitting in front of a computer working on the video box, the VHS sleeve for Hated, G.G. Allen and the Murder Junkies. And Todd Phillips calls us and says, G.G. Allen just died. He's dead. I'm going to go to the funeral. We FedExed him a Super 8 camera and film he had to change the movie and change the ending of the movie. And then we changed the box art. So yeah, that happened. Ask Dave the story.
Do you still talk to Todd?
I don't talk to Todd. I saw him recently at an event for the Joker, and he's at another level. The guy has made how many billion-dollar movies? I mean, I knew him in the 90s and, when he was struggling, but there's such a huge group of people that like I knew back in the day that are like James Gunn. I knew in from 90, where did I meet him? In 97 at the St. Louis International Film Festival. So I knew a lot of people that are like huge, but I can't get like a small amount of money to finish a fucking documentary about Film Threat in the 90s called Film Threat Sucks.
But why don't you?
I should just hit up Todd Phillips.
But why don't you?
He's in the movie, by the way. Todd Phillips is in the cut that I'll send you.
Have you contacted Todd about giving you money?
No, I don't know how to get. I mean, I feel weird asking people for. You know what it is, and I hate even doing a Kickstarter. I'll tell you why. When you do a crowdfund campaign for a movie, it's like asking a close friend, how much money do you like me?
Oh, I know that game, but like
it's weird. It's weird.
But you should you should ask for like 25 from Todd, 25 from like your magazine helped out a lot of people. Like
yeah, but
I'm weird
about that. I'm weird about asking for help. I'm weird about it. I don't like to ask for help. So it's a weird thing for me.
Well, I mean, that's fair. I mean, fair enough. But I mean, like Todd Phillips has a lot of money. And Todd Phillips should support something like the Film Threat documentary. It's where he came from, right? Like,
well, his other documentary, just so people in the chat know about this, he made a documentary called Frat House.
Yeah, Frat House? It sold at Sundance, and then the guys, they brought a legal case against him,
and it never was released. However, if you're good at doing searches, it is on YouTube, the entire movie Frat House. He didn't get clearance from many of the subjects in that movie. It's about hazing at a fraternity.
John Pearson showed me that movie.
Yeah, did he really? Oh my God.
Like I mean, the thing about it is it's like it's not a great documentary. And it's just like imagine that frat guys are assholes. Like they're
right.
Like the final message is like it's basically you're watching like a version of Jackass. You're watching 2 filmmakers be hazed. Like that's
right.
basically the movie. I think it's been like that movie went to the point where it got sold. Like
yeah.
And they wouldn't I can't believe why didn't they did they have releases and then they kind of rescinded? I guess if they were threatening to sue,
because he didn't get clearances from all of the subjects in the film. So but you can find it. I mean, you can get it. So
I mean, it's well worth more seeing Hated or like Chicken Hawk of all of them. If you want to see a fucked up experience, like I'm not recommending it it's just kind of like if you want to feel really uncomfortable for an hour and a half, watch Chicken Hawk because it's an awkward film.
Yes, I know. It was that was the but I mean it was like Film Threat became this catch-all for like these are like banned, uncensored, dangerous movies. I mean, there were like the high-end indie movies, you know what I'm talking about, Miramax, among others, Focus Features. Film Threat was like this brand that like all of the films had some aspect of it that were dangerous or felt forbidden, right? Like there was something
like
about it.
sincerely, but they did feel like that ad for Necromantic and stuff, like they were very fucking very underground. And but that was, you were the kind of you and Film Threat were basically the bridge between that darkness and Hollywood, right? Like that's what kind of made it interesting, because you'd also put like the first copy of Film Threat I ever bought was I remember I was visiting LA for the first time with my parents, and I was staying up on Highland, and there's that liquor store, and it was the Joker cover.
Oh my God, yeah.
And that was the first, and ironically, in that issue is where you first went to the Toronto Film Festival.
Yes, and then
but that's a different story completely.
We got to do another live stream where we're just like we're just telling stories from the old days, because how we even met is crazy at the Toronto Film Festival. We have to put a pin in it because I know we got to wrap up.
Okay.
We got to wrap up, but like we have a separate conversation. We just tell old stories from the 90s.
Well, I mean, I almost got fired from the Toronto Film Festival for even being around you guys.
I know. Oh my God.
They were
it's
so
in the doc.
bad.
Dude, it's in the doc. You got to watch the rough cut that we have.
Yeah,
I have a rough cut. I just need money to finish it. There's costs you cannot get around.
Phillips, man. Fucking
ask
Todd, like James Gunn. How buddy is you with him?
He is.
I don't know. I feel like people reach a certain level and they're embarrassed to be affiliated with me because they know I have kind of this should not surprise you, Malcolm. I'm a pariah in Hollywood. People don't.
Not anymore. Like the thing is,
are you sure about that?
The thing about it is, it's the same thing as me. The thing about it is that like, look, I've been a loudmouth. I've done a lot of stupid things. The thing that people appreciate in that fucking town is longevity. We've been around. We're still here. Like, think about that. Like, we fucking met in 1990. Like, I met you in 1990.
Was it 90 or 80? It might have been earlier. Sure.
No, you were there in 89. I wasn't there yet. You were there in 89, and you guys came back in 90 and 91, I believe. And then, but
we were banned from the Toronto Film Festival. Like, I have a recording of me talking to the main publicist saying, you are banned. That is not the type of journalism we want. Like, you are banned from the festival. Like, what?
And then when you came when they invited you back, I was stealing tickets from I was working the press office. I was working the mailboxes, and I would steal like Roger Ebert's party ticket and give it to you guys.
Oh my God. Wait, I'm going to go off camera for a second. I have something I have to show you that I've kept. I have kept all these years, 33 years. I have kept this item. You might recognize it. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Be right back. Be right here.
Uh-oh. Should I be scared?
Oh, don't be scared. You will know what this means. Oh my God. That's my old phone number's on this. So I'm gonna have to hold it a certain way. Okay. I'm gonna go oh shoot. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna go full screen for a second. I'm gonna show you something.
All right.
This is how we crashed the Toronto Film Festival, okay? I'm gonna have to hold it a certain way. So you don't, but I'm gonna go full screen. See if you remember this. We created a completely fake movie magazine called Film Form, the art of the cinema. I don't know if you can see that. That was the logo. I created a media kit, and I was Patrick McGill. I was the executive editor of Film Form, the art of the cinema. My old phone number when I first moved to LA is on this card. That's how we crashed. And we even made polo shirts with the logo that said Film Form on it. And at the time, I couldn't grow facial hair. I mean, I was in my early 20s, and I physically drew on a beard and took a photo of myself wearing glasses and looking nerdy so that we could get in. And that was the actual business card that I took to the Toronto Film Festival so that we could crash Film form, the art of the cinema. That's it. Do you remember that? That was
I mean,
crazy.
I remember you guys were banned. I remember, but they invited you back, and I don't know how you guys got invited back.
Because we wrote an article and they were so pissed off. They're like, all right, fine, we give in. It was like, we give up. Like, you're gonna, and it became a national news story in Canada that these two journalists from America crashed the festival, but they never mentioned our names and they never mentioned Film Threat. And that's not the first time that Film Threat was the subject of a national news story. You know,
but when you guys came, I was in the press office and I saw you guys, and I had read your magazine like the summer before, and I loved your magazine, so I was like, oh, I'm gonna get these guys party tickets. So like I was the worst nightmare for the film, because they started figuring out, like, because you guys were showing up at parties usually with me, and like they were just like I had meetings like, Malcolm, you can't. There was one time when I had you guys in the office. You got, like, after hours, it was me, you, and Paul in the press office, and they found out later that you guys were in the office. Like, I got in so much trouble for you guys.
You know what else I did that year?
What?
Okay, you're gonna hate me. We got the press list with the hotels of where all the different journalists were staying. So we recorded and did a bunch of prank phone calls to other members of the media because we were always fucking with people. And we called the editor of like Film Quarterly and asked them, how often does your magazine come out? And then we called Roger Ebert and asked him, did you order a pizza? We called him and he got really incensed and hung up the phone. I have the recording. This is all, you got to see the Film Threat doc. It'll get me canceled for sure. But
no, I don't get that. No, enough time has passed in longevity. Like, again, dude,
so?
We're still around. Like, essentially, like, you know, I mean, it's been a long time in this industry, and it's just like people respect longevity.
Well,
look at fucking John Waters, man. Whoever
I love John Waters. John Waters is a hero of mine.
But like the thing is that like he used to be ours, and now he's everybody's. He's got to start on the Walk of Fame, like. And that's so, but like, there's nothing more dangerous than John Waters. Like, John Waters movies, like Singing Assholes, like there is a scene with a singing asshole, like a guy fucking, like, it's just like his movies aren't all hairspray. You know what I mean? Like,
to be fair about the singing asshole, it wasn't singing. The asshole was dilating.
Yes.
So it appeared to be singing. It was all an illusion, as is most filmmaking. But
don't give away the secrets of Hollywood.
No, it was a singing asshole. Come on, Chris.
Don't give away the secrets of Hollywood,
dude.
That's what's gonna get you cut.
I want you to see the Film Threat rough cut, because I'm like, I just need. I went through this whole thing with Attack of the Doc, which was such a struggle, and I had spent more than 20 grand of my own money to finish it. We might get some money this fall. I know we're doing another run of the Blu-rays. It's not cheap, but like, I'm proud of that movie. I'll send you Attack of the Doc. It's not you. It's a whole era of my life you didn't know, like my TV career at G4.
I knew about that.
Yeah, but let me send you that movie, and then the Film Threat documentary. I have to take another year. It's not finished.
Did you interview Kevin?
I did not interview Kevin. I did not. I just want, from filmmaker to filmmaker, I'd like you to see the movie.
All right.
We'll talk about it.
All right.
And I need to get it. First of all, I've spent all out of pocket for this. Film Threat sucks. It's like out of pocket, like 10 grand.
I understand that concept.
And I'm like, this is why I live in an apartment in Pasadena instead of owning property in California.
We're in the exact same place.
Right, exactly.
I've lived in the same apartment for 25 years. Like, I have rent control. Like, I don't
have rent control.
Like, by all measures, I would be considered a success. Like, I played Sundance, I played South by a bunch of times, and all that kind of stuff. And still, like, I'm just getting by. But like, I'm getting by just enough to survive, and that's enough. Like, the most important thing to me was always freedom.
Yes.
Like, and I think about it, and it's just kind of like, especially through my relationship with Kevin, there was a lot of opportunities that kind of came up that I kind of didn't step up to because it's just like it would have been. I would have given up a lot of freedom, and right now, as I get older, it's like the most treasured thing that I have, and the fact that I have this catalog of films that I could kind of like just do this experiment with, and like, you know, and I love kind of not going through Amazon. Like Phantom of Winnipeg, it will never be available on streaming. We only got the music rights. We only got for physical media, and I like that. Like it's just kind of like it's like discovering like your movies in the back of your magazine. It's just kind of like you had to work a little to get these movies. Like Chicken Hawk isn't a movie you could just pull up on, you know, Netflix. You had to order in for it and that kind of stuff. And I like that. I like, because that's where I came from. And I think that media is so accessible now that it's boring. Like it's just kind of like
it's not special. It's not special.
Not at all.
You don't have to struggle to see films.
So basically, like, you know, so that's just my idea is like, look, I know that I've had enough people ask me about a Blu-ray for Clerk. I'm like, fine, but I'm not going to give it to a bunch of fucking dummies. Like, or just like, it's so easy now to just open your own kind of thing and be like, you know, and then getting lucky to talk about it and kind of, you know, and just see what it build out of it. And then if it works for me and the company, you know, then I'll help other people. Because that's, you know, helping other people, you know, like it's important.
Well, look, I'll just say this. I don't want anyone to feel sorry for me. You know, I live in a nice place in Pasadena. It's a little small, but I live in a nice place. But I wish I had a little bit more room, maybe an extra room for my stuff.
Yeah, but you've lived a life.
I'm happy, but I'm happy. I'm really happy.
You've lived a life. You've lived a life.
I have everything's walkable to me. I have 2 adult children that are accountable for themselves. They actually have jobs and are productive citizens and they're not assholes. And I'll say this, it's hard to raise kids in LA without them turning into assholes, right? Like,
well, yeah,
it's tough. So I feel very happy where I'm at. And Film Threat is legit my day job, and working with Alan is like a joy. We goof on each other on the show, but genuinely we're on the same page and mostly spending time laughing and goofing on stuff and whatnot. But I want to make more movies, and sort of this is the thing. There's another movie I want to shoot before the end of the year. I just like I've always been. It's hard for me to ask for help on stuff, but I want you because you're involved. Like the Film Threat documentary, I'll send you the rough of it, and we should discuss because it's close, but it's not. You know, it's like not there. And then just from filmmaker to filmmaker, I'd love for you to see Attack of the Doc. So oddly, so yeah. Anyways,
okay. I would love to.
Dude, I could keep talking to you for like hours more just with all this stuff, but I got actually a buddy coming over helping me with stuff like
go do your thing, dude. Well, thank you so much for giving me the privilege of talking about my bullshit.
Well, dude, go to Malcolm's mercantileinstinct.com. Link will be in the description. Check it out. Malcolm will be back as a guest. I don't know when, but sometime in the future. We're going to exchange info. Susan's going to hook us up, and then there you go. And then dude, it's just great to like I say, we have so many old stories from the old days.
There's a lot,
dude. There's a lot. There's
the
stories.
90s. The 90s was fun, man. The 90s was a good time.
The 90s was a blast. Malcolm, dude, thank you so much. Wait, you put pickle now. Why does it say pickle?
My name is
your name is Pickle. All right, good.
All right, rock and roll, dudes. Thank you so much.
Take care
for the time, man. I appreciate it.
Well, come back. We'll talk about the 90s.